Hello and welcome to another episode of Beer Man's No Bull Beer Reviews. Today I have a beer that's a little more simple than some of the other stuff that I have reviewed. This is a brewery that's been around for a while. Is doing some pretty simple but tasty stuff. Duck Rabbit, they're out of North Carolina. I forget exactly where. Oh, Farmville, North Carolina, which I think is over by Raleigh. But um, so there was a bottle shop close to me that was, I don't know if the Duck Rabbit stuff wasn't selling well or anything, but they had them severely discounted. This bottle was $1. So, and knowing that they make good stuff, I figured it was worth it to scoop a couple of them up just to rate on here. And so this one is their Schwarzbier, which is black lager basically. But reading the description, it sounds like, this is definitely more on the darker side for the black lager. It seems like it's kind of, or the description says it's fairly roasty, which isn't. The Schwarzbiers are usually a little roasty because of the grains that are in it, but not that much. But it seems like they kind of just made like a lower alcohol Baltic Porter type thing, maybe. I've had a lot of their stuff. I honestly don't remember if I've had this one or not, but there are other dark beers that I've had. Their Imperial Stout, the Rabid Duck, and the Baltic Porter are both really good. So we'll see how this guy shapes up. I don't know. I'm assuming it's not that old because the other stuff they had on there was not that old. It's just I think they were trying. Yeah, it's just 2017, so it's not like it was in the discount bin because it was crazy old or anything. Just I guess wasn't selling too well. So one man's trash is another man's treasure. So we'll see. That I will say this pour scares me a little bit. I didn't take that much care in the pour, but I also didn't pour it like an idiot either. So that's a lot of carbonation. Which I guess, if it's supposed to be a lighter alcohol lager, you're going to normally be on the higher carbonation end, but that's a good bit of carbonation, so I'm hoping this isn't like over carbonated and sting the tongue. Which, I don't know that I could tell it by the smell. I just want to see what it smells like, but so it is a little bit roasty. There's a little bit of dark fruit in there. There's actually a little bit of a metallic character that I seem to get from beers that are overcarbonated. I have no idea why that is, because it's not. Well, it's usually just dark beers that are overcarbonated. I don't know why, but there's some aroma that it gives off that makes me think of like copper or something like that. So I'm hoping that's just minimal in the aroma and that doesn't flow through the taste. We'll see. But as you can see, it pours a pretty dark brown. I mean, it's not completely black, but it's pretty dark brown with a medium, huge beige head. So it's died down a little bit. I think it's safe to take a taste. So we'll see what we got. That's kind of disappointing only because I think the back end flavors are actually nice. It has a little bit of a roasty character, like in some a little bit of dark chocolate too, but the forefront is just so carbonated that it kind of kills the rest of that flavor. Like it's only just an afterthought, and the front is just the flavor is actually muted by how carbonated it is, which anytime a beer is ruined by overcarbonation, it just drives me nuts because that's something that, if it's not spontaneous, or not spontaneous, but if it's not bottle condition, which I don't think this is, I'm guessing it's not based on, I don't see anything in the bottom, so really no reason for it to be overcarbonated unless, you know, this was their intention, which is possible. Excuse me, and it's just not my preference. Let me try to be a little more descriptive here. Yeah, I mean, the aroma, it does have a little bit of dark chocolate and some roasty character to it, but it still has that, like, slight metallic copper note that I'm not a fan of. Let's see. I maybe it's just this bottle, which I hope is the case, because honestly everything else about this is pretty nice. I mean, for a 5% lager dark beer, and there is some hops in it that's giving it a little bit of a citrusy bitterness too, which I appreciate. Or actually, I mean, it might even be more towards the noble end, which would make more sense because it's more towards the German roots. But this, basically the second half of the drink of this is really nice. The first half is just kind of muted by the carbonation, which is unfortunate. But I'm just trying to think of how I'd rate it. I would say on my scale of buy, dump, drink, this is definitely a good example of a drink one where it falls right in the middle. Even for the $1 that I paid for it, I don't know that I would go and buy it again. Because to me, no matter how cheap something is, if it doesn't really bring you back to want to drink more, then what the hell is the point of it? You know. But I don't mind drinking it. There's nothing about it that grosses me out, or it's like I don't think I could drink 12 ounces of it. It's fine, but it's just a little disappointing based on some of the other darker beers that I've had. And I just feel like if the carbonation level was a little lower, it would be a lot better. And it is pretty thin, but again, if it's a dark lager, it's not supposed to be thick. It's just hard to get out of that mindset of when you have a darker beer like this that it's not supposed to have a big body, but it's not. That's the style that it is. And actually, you know, the more it lingers on my tongue, there is a slight like smoky character to it as well, which is nice. But if it wasn't overcarbonated like that, I might want to go and buy more. But for me, it's just a drink, so. But again, that's just my own opinion. If you see this for pretty cheap locally, I would say it's good enough that it's worth a try to see what you think, you know. See what your own opinion is. So that's just my opinion. You know, it's not like one of those things where I'm saying, this is terrible, don't waste your money, blah, blah, blah. Because it's relatively cheap, even if it's not on sale, I would say it's worth trying. As is any other stuff I've had from them. So, you know, they're a good brewery. They do a lot of classic stuff. They're definitely, you know, they're not keeping up with all the craziness that's going on now, but they still make good beer. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about this one. I had fun reviewing it. It was nice to go back to something pretty simple, because I'm sure the next thing I do might not be that simple. It might be one of the crazy beers. So please like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think, and I look forward to doing the next one. Thanks.